we estimated a death toll due to traumatic injuries that was about 70% higher than what the Ministry of Health was putting out at the time.
في بحث علمي نشر في مجلة Lancet الطبية، قدر فرانشيسكو كيكي مع مجموعة من الأكاديميين أن العدد الفعلي للوفيات في الأشهر التسعة الأولى من الحرب على غزة أعلى بكثير من العدد الرسمي المعلن للشهداء.
So you have to make an assumption there that the rate of underreporting that we estimated in our study has remained more or less the same in the ensuing months. And if you go with that assumption, then unfortunately we project now that we would be somewhere in the neighborhood of probably 95,000 traumatic injury deaths.
استخدم الباحثون طريقة إحصائية تعرف بتحليل الالتقاط وإعادة الالتقاط، حسبوا من خلالها عدد الشهداء الذين قتلتهم القوات الإسرائيلية بالاعتماد على 3 قوائم مختلفة.
So the official toll that the Ministry of Health in Gaza puts out combines figures that they get from mortuaries in the different hospitals that are still operational with other reports from different incidents that happen. What we did instead is we combined 3 different lists. One is the same list as I just mentioned, i.e. individual deaths that are listed in hospitals. The other is a survey that the Ministry of Health put out some months back for people to fill, a public survey. And the last list that we looked at is one that we constructed ourselves by scraping information from online social media obituaries. And what we did is we combined those 3 lists, we looked at their overlap, and we used a statistical technique that actually enables us to figure out how many deaths are truly out there, including the ones that don't make it onto any list whatsoever.
تشير التقارير إلى أن كثيرين استشهدوا بسبب أمراض مزمنة لم تعالج، نقص الرعاية الطبية، سوء التغذية، وتدهور الأوضاع الصحية والمعيشية. كلها وفيات غير مباشرة لم تدرج في الإحصاءات الرسمية لشهداء هذه الحرب.
We in our study were only able to quantify what we usually call direct deaths. These are deaths that are directly attributable to the conflict. People who die because of bombardments, because of bullets, essentially injuries sustained during active warfare. Then you have the indirect deaths on top of that, which would be due to all of the consequences of the conflict on the public health system, on water and sanitation, on nutrition. So imagine people who go without their chronic disease medications, children who become malnourished as a result of insufficient amounts of food. All of those, fatalities are really what we tend to refer to as indirectly attributable to the war. It's worth mentioning that so far we just don't have a ground estimate of those indirect deaths. So even when we talk about our figure, which is higher than the Ministry of Health, keep in mind that the true number of deaths due to the war is even higher than that.
رغم تشكيك إسرائيل المتكرر في أرقام وزارة الصحة في غزة، فإن الأمم المتحدة ومنظمات دولية عديدة اعتبرتها موثوقة.
One of the main criticisms that comes our way is that the Ministry of Health data are not reliable, they're necessarily biased because they come from Hamas. Both we and other groups have looked at the reliability of those data. We have looked for patterns suggesting that the data were made up, for example, fabricated, and we don't see any sign of that being the case. Apart from that, I think it's just, worth noting that the finding of deaths being underreported is not unique to Gaza. It's very much general to many other armed conflicts. So it isn't like what we are seeing is really out of line with what we would expect.
نشرت مجموعة أخرى من الباحثين رسالة في مجلة Lancet في يوليو تموز 2024 استخدمت فيها معدل الوفيات غير المباشرة الناجمة عن صراعات أخرى للإشارة إلى أن ما يصل إلى 186 ألف حالة وفاة يمكن أن تعزى إلى حرب غزة في تلك الفترة، ولكن التكلفة البشرية الحقيقية لن تظهر بالكامل إلا بعد انتهاء الحرب وتوفر بيانات أكثر دقة.